with some of the leadership today. It's I just don't want to see a repeat of Hurricane Ian. That's all.
Thank you very much.
All right, everybody. I have 5:30 Central, so we're going to go ahead and get this call rolling. Welcome to your currently tropical storm Idalia update. My name is Drew Hanna. I'm the Deputy Ops for the South Branch, also currently sitting in as the Ops Manager. A few initial housekeeping items. We do have a lot of folks on this call, so asking that unless you're a designated briefer, please drop your questions in the chat and self-monitor your microphones to keep them muted. We get that wonderful echo effect when we have too many people off mute, and it really gets some really horrendous feedback going if we do it wrong. So if you do have a question, utilize the chat. Folks will be monitoring and answer as rapidly as they can. Not going to have an opportunity for a ton of extended back and forth at the end of this, as there is a lot of pieces in motion right now. But overall, do connect, especially with your ops associates and your section leads. If you're looking for opportunities to plug in, we'll cover down on what some of those opportunities are as we get closer to the end of the call. Also, just before we dive into some of the meat and potatoes of this, some quick framing for everybody as to where we are organizationally and structurally. For most of the weekends, and in fact, even as we all went to bed last night, this was pretty safely within the South Branch wheelhouse for area of responsibility. It was a nice little type 2, but we woke up this morning to a major Cat 3 hurricane forecast for landfall. So the organization has taken several steps to help increase our readiness posture, including the activation of the EOC at the Grand Prairie, where I'm currently speaking to you all from. We have a lot of the section leads here as we've been standing up the EOC. And I've been doing some handoffs and upgrades as we pull in the full scope of an operational Team Rubicon. But to kick this off, we're going to start with our situation update, and I'm going to pass it over to Francesca for that.
Hey, good evening, team. Currently, Idalia stands at tropical storm strength, as Drew mentioned, but is forecast to strengthen into a hurricane overnight and continue intensifying and making landfall along the Florida Gulf Coast as a Category 3 storm. Inundation of 8 to 12 feet above ground level is expected somewhere between Jazahalwitska and the Osceola River right now. I will note that Idalia's forecast track is over an area very susceptible to storm surge. So regardless of intensity at landfall, there is increasing confidence of a significant storm surge event near and to the right of the center. Hurricane conditions are expected within portions of the hurricane warning area along the Florida Gulf Coast, which are highlighted in red on the picture to the left. And those areas stand for the potential those areas have potential for destructive winds where the core of Idalia moves onshore. Strong winds will also spread inland across portions of northern Florida near the track of the center of Idalia. Flash flooding will also be of concern across portions of the West Florida coast, as well as the Florida Panhandle and into southern Georgia Tuesday and Wednesday, and spreading into portions of the Eastern Carolinas Wednesday into Thursday. And that's it for me, so I'll pass it back to you, Drew.
Thank you, Francesca. And then as part of our hurricane planning, our ops associates have been in contact with their state and local partners. So Tanya, I'm going to pass it over to you for an external relationship update.
Thank you. All right, so in Florida, we've got our State Operations Center. It's activated at level 1, which is a full activation. Prepared to go there tomorrow if there's space available. They're currently working on their COOP plan because the path is still somewhat uncertain as to how Tallahassee is going to be impacted. So if they decide to coop off-site, there will be no room for partners in that location. If they stay put, then there's possible room for partners. So stay tuned on that. In Georgia, the agency rep there will be reporting to the FEMA Region 4 office starting Wednesday. As far as counties go, Chatham County, Georgia, they're having ops calls twice a day. As for the state VOADs, the Florida VOAD is having daily meetings. The state EOC working hours are 7 a to 7 p Eastern Time. Lots of mentions on the VOAD call today regarding tarping needs post-landfall due to the similar path of Ian. Also, I'll obtain the information and share it as soon as I have it available regarding curfew waivers. They are anticipating that there will be curfews implemented, and so we will need waivers for that should that occur. For Georgia, the VOAD there is having daily meetings and the organizations are currently preparing to respond, and there are no open needs at this time. Back over to you, Drew, unless anyone has questions.
Thank you, Tanya. And then just quick pause. I don't know if Tiffany or Luca has anything from the national perspective to call out. And hearing none, we'll keep rolling. Over to our planning update with Justin.
Good evening, all. Currently, we have one recon team sent out, and we're looking at setting up to 4 more additional recon teams as the notifications have been submitted. We've also got a clearance notification that has been submitted, and we're looking to get another one out there. Concept of operations is today we've got the route clearance team 1 identified. Route clearance team 2 obviously is to be determined, hopefully, and then Tuesday route clearance team 1 will move to Atlanta and proceed to Tallahassee for staging. And Tuesday we're looking to get the recon teams identified and dispatched for tomorrow. Major movements. I will be going to the OC and looking to bring on Sherry will be coming, and then possibly Steve. Outside of that, pending any questions.
All right, thank you, Justin.
There you go.
And we'll move over to field leadership with Beth.
Hey guys, so continuing that first action with those notifications that have gone out. We have field leadership members available and held in Brewster based on the course of action that we see evolve over the next 24 to 48 hours. And we'll continue to coordinate with our partners in mobilization and planning to go ahead and fill those recon ad-bond teams and support the route clearance as they come up. That's what we've got, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll go to our mobilization update with Derek.
Good evening. Sorry, it was slow to react. As you've heard, the CTAs with route clearance and recon are live and collecting signups at a rapid pace. Currently, already out of date, the route clearance has got 68 signups. We have HEO2s, CTLs 2, 7 HESIs, 7 SAW2s, 10 AS1s signed up, and then we have 37 self-identified EMTs that are signed up as well. So we will work with field leadership to get those teams built out. We are collecting all of the personnel for the route clearance and recon in individual events, and then we will disperse them to their teams from there. So you're only going to see the 1 CTA for each of those for awareness, and then we'll also work with the route clearance and juniors list of availability as we go through and booking all of them. That's it.
All right, thank you, Derek. And I'll pass it to Jeremy for logistics.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Currently on standby are the 2 response trailers out of Montgomery and Loganville. Each of those are a 5-strike team kit response trailer. We are moving the Tampa trailer out of harm's way to the NOAA hangar in Lakeland. We're doing this so that we have access to the trailer after the storm, understanding that there will be some storm surge in and around Tampa Bay. We want to make sure it's out and available. Currently, the route clearance package is staged in Loganville, ready to roll once the gray shirts get on deck. We also have at OSB at the knock, we have one MLR available, both of our MCCs available. The route clearance package is staged there. We have 2 additional roofing kits, 3 pallets of water in reserve. We're going to put Morrisville and Columbia trailers in reserve. Additionally, we're going to, thanks to the North Branch, we've got 2 trailers from them in reserve. We also have 2 trailers, including the long-term recovery group, our equipment, and the tarps that are staged in Punta Gorda that we have down there in response to Ian. So if we need that equipment. Next slide, please. There's a snapshot of our trailer availability in the South Branch. For those that wonder why it's one is red, we are waiting on equipment to be repaired. So once that's repaired, we'll be able to get that back into the fight. Next slide, please. I currently have 1 branch tech kit that is staged here in Atlanta. The other 2 are en route to the knock from operations that demobilized over the weekend. The route clearance tech kit for Atlanta is en route. It'll be hand carried to Atlanta by one of the route clearance team members, along with the petty cash that they'll pick up. Additionally, ITDRC is staging in Tallahassee for onward movement once it's clear for them to move. We have 6 national tech kits in reserve, ready to rock and roll, and Field Tech is communicating with the cell carriers for their staging locations and coverage options. And once we get into the EOC, we'll be able to get updates on the ESF2 status for the state of Florida. Next slide, please. And just a quick snapshot of what it looks like from the branch tech kit capability in the South Branch. Back to you, Drew.
Thank you, Jeremy. I will kick it over to Carol with finance.
Good afternoon. I have assigned all of the South Branch Finance section chiefs to an op, and some of them will be handling 2 ops. So once we have figured out which recons are actually going to response, we will shuffle those so that each one will be handling 1 op. We have dropped the coding there for the EOC support. I've also dropped that in South Branch Ask Finance, and I will drop it here as well. We have petty cash, as was mentioned, for each of the teams of $500 that will be handled through the NOC. We also have generic PEX cards if needed. There is a telephone number that you can call to get your PEX balances, so I will also drop that in all 3 locations so that we don't want you running out of money. So if you need to have it resupplied with funds, you'll know that before you try to make a purchase. And furthermore, we will work with the MPTs and the finance section chiefs to get approvals on each of the operations. And finance stands ready.
All right, thank you, ma'am. And I'll pass it over to John Connors with comms.
Thank you, Drew. I apologize for the background noise. If it's too much, Devin will take over. Brand comms is ready to go. Currently, I'm en route to the EOC, and I'll be there until September 6th. After that, Devin Miller will take over. Currently, our digital team is keeping all of our social medias and digital platforms up to date with the latest and greatest. You can see a couple of screenshots here of the monitoring posts that are already live. Similarly, on the TR blog, we have hurricane preparedness post at the top of the page, as well as various apps that people can use during hurricanes. For comms, I'll be acting as PIO. Talking points have already gone out once today and will be updated as the cadence requires. Finally, we are identifying additional PIOs and spokespeople for immediate response. In terms of creative assets, the website banner will be flipped on Wednesday, depending on when landfall happens, to note that we are responding to the hurricane. Finally, our content production team stands ready to respond. We have 3 primary content producers ready to go, and they've already registered to be on the route clearance teams and the recon team. We are sourcing out additional branch volunteer photographers. And then finally, if any gray shirts are in the field where they're not being accompanied by a photographer or videographer, they can use the Cinebody link that you see at the bottom of the slide here, and we will continue to socialize this, and they can use that to submit photos or videos or, you know, selfie videos thanking people for donating and supporting. Other than that, Brandcom stands by ready to support, and if there are any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you, John. All right, and then I know we don't have a dev slide. Mackenzie is still en route to the National Operations Center, but if there's a dev rep who had an update they wanted to share.
You got me. Yep, I'm here.
That's a great day.
So development, we are fully activating our disaster fundraising plan. We have a Ready Reserve donate page specific to this storm. The donation page is for unrestricted funding. We're not soliciting for restricted funding at this time. We have a mass market situation update that is ready to go to be sent out after this call. We'll continue to send out donor communications as we move through the week, of course. We've performed prospective donor research as well. And Frontline Fundraisers are connecting with folks for those preliminary discussions, and we'll continue to keep them up to date. We're also going to have some in-person EOC dev presence. So starting tomorrow morning, Mackenzie will be there. Haley from Strategic Partnerships will be there, and then Gulam with individual giving. Other than that, we're just going to continue to, keep those conversations going, updating donors. And as always, we're standing by to support.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Melissa. Few administrative notes and call outs for me, and then I'll pass over to leadership for closeout. First, just administratively note, this call series is going to get discontinued as part of our EOC activation, so we will see a new call series issued out. Look for that in your inboxes very soon. It may be a slightly different time, but it will be in the early evening like this if you are East Coast, afternoon for all of our West Coast friends on the call. So just continue to kind of keep this block clear. Second, if you're on this call and you're like, this sounds really awesome and I really want to get involved in it, just a quick reminder of the 3 opportunities that you guys have to plug in. We do have that EOC support sign up out there. Sign up, list your availability for that. There's some good windows there for both staff and volunteers. We'd love to have more folks here in lovely Grand Prairie. But if you are itching for the field, those recon and route clearance signups are live. We want the best of the few and the proud to represent us in those austere environs. But we also know not everybody can go play there. So please stand by. This is a big storm, and in the famous words of Jess Spired, big storm, big response. There will be plenty of opportunities for everybody to get to go out there and help communities after this storm has passed through. So if you are not selected for any of the 3 aforementioned opportunities, please continue to list availability. I assure you, everyone who wants to get into the field will have a chance to do so. Appreciate everybody's time. Continue to drop questions in the chat, and I will now pass to San for leadership wrap.
Hey, thanks, Drew. That's a beautiful PSA, man. And I'm hyped up to get all my stuff ready and get out there and get going. Guys, you know that this was a sprint always at the beginning because we're trying to create this beautiful project to get out there so we can do what we do out in those communities. But we know that it's not a sprint for the long haul. We have our volunteers, we have our full-time staff, we have all of our cross the department collaborations that's going on with this. It's going to be excellent. What I want you guys to do really is to stay focused. I also want to thank you guys for what you've already done so far. Again, we have a long ways to go, And once that storm hits ground, we'll be ready to rock and roll and make that community back, bring it back to normal as quick as possible. Again, hopefully I'll see you guys out in the field. I see some of you guys at the EOC, but I know you're on this call that you are ready to get into the fight and work alongside your gray shirts to bring that normalcy back to those communities. With further ado, I'll go ahead and transition to our fearless leader, the VP of Operations, Jeff Byard.
Hey, thanks, team. I'm actually out at our headquarters. Some call it the Death Star, but we call it headquarters. Couple of things. From my perspective. Obviously, we got an impact of a major hurricane. We also don't need to sleep on Georgia. The backside of this can be just as bad for some of the communities over there, specifically Savannah and that area, Chatham County. So, it's a total look across the board. Intensified storm, we went to our condensed planning timeline. We're hitting the marks there. That's testament to everybody on the call. And it's what we do, guys. This is what we do. This is Team Rubicon, and we'll do it well. That my ask is always going to be this: communicate early and often. You can't over communicate, especially in these transition periods where we got the EOC spinning up. But it'll be full up round. Pretty much already is. I'll be making my way there tomorrow afternoon from Los Angeles. So I think we got things in place. We can't control what the storm does. We can't control what people do because of the storm, but we can control our actions. And that's what I know we're going to do. So make sure that we're doing the right things, and one team, one fight, and we will definitely see each other in the field. Before I turn it over, I know David Burke, our Chief Programs Officer, is next to me, and I believe Art Dela Cruz is on the call. So I'll turn it over to David for any comments.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, everybody, for being on this evening. I commented to Jeff here a minute ago, there's over 100 people, well over 100 people on this call. Let's do everything we possibly can to get the planning right and put our teams where they can have the most impact as quickly as possible. Do it safely, but let's not overwhelm it. We've all got a ton to do, and this will be weeks, if not months, of response and recovery. So identify your redundancies, your backups, and your coverage plans early, and let's get into a rhythm so we don't burn out as a team and organization. It's been what feels like a long wait into hurricane season. We never want these to happen, but we know they will. So I appreciate everybody being diligent and quick on the uptake here. And thanks everybody in advance for getting out and helping these communities. Art, looking to you, see if you're available. I know Art had to dial in. He's not in the office right now.
Yeah, sorry, I'm in transit here on kid duty. But, the only thing I have to say is thanks. We've rehearsed this. We know what to do. Keep people safe, help people, take care of the gray shirts. Thanks, team.
Back to you, Drew.
All right. Thank you, David. Thank you, Art, and Jeff, and Son. Hey, everybody. We got a little bit of work left to do tonight, so we're going to go ahead and kill the recording. We will see you guys all on the next one. Let's keep it going. Appreciate it. Have a great night.